Well. When something gets revealed in the modern day, there's always one thing you can count on. Basement-dwelling losers getting like the most insignificant of things. In today's case, we're looking at a very interesting YouTuber some you may have heard of. He goes by the name of Ranting for Vengeance and is a self-proclaimed comic book expert and die-hard fan of Wolverine. But good old Ranting for Vengeance here has a little issue with the new Wolverine game. It's too woke! Hey there, I'm Shay, a new YouTuber aspiring to make good content range from gaming to commentary. I post once every sometimes, and I hope to build a good community of loyal fans, excited nerds, and all of us should be ready to talk about our favourite interests. Without that, let's get into the video. So where better to start than the origin of woke, a term that people like RFE here love to use as much as they can. So let's start. The term woke originated in the 1930s as a result of African Americans creating a phrase that meant to be aware of social injustice and racism going on around them. This was the simplest definition I could find. I mean, it was on Google AI, so might as well. Now, why do I talk about this? Because people like Ranting for Vengeance loves to use this term so much. He will say it whenever he sees something scary or very weird, such as black people, or, hear me out guys, women! So scary, oh my god, I'm queefing. Now, back on track, the term woke obviously has evolved and changed over the years, moving on from just the African American way of expressing how fear of racism exists, but nowadays it's more used by right-wing people, or grifters I like to call them, who use it as a label on anything that they think is too politically correct. Used by racists and sexists, especially when discussing, let's just say, nerdy media such as gaming or movies, usually when they see a woman or, person of colour. So after a brief segment of history and a bit of clarification on the word woke, I want to segue into the meat and potatoes of today's videos, that being Ranting for Vengeance thoughts on the new Wolverine game coming out, which I personally think looks amazing, and you know your boys already get a pre-order for that shit, come on. But before we dive into his thoughts on the Wolverine game, let's see about another part of his video, that being his thoughts on Spider-Man Noir, the new series starring Nicolas Cage. Let's see what this joyful young man has to say about this new awesome series.
To the people commenting, I won't really be making another video on Spider Noir. I won't be watching 1 second of it because the cold hard fact still stands that I said in my last video about it, that it's woke propaganda with race swapped characters. And if you like that sort of thing, then go ahead, but you're not a real fan of Spider-Man. Race swapped black hat, fake film noir Nicolas Cage is not for me. If you're interested in Spider-Man and Noir, just go back and read some of the old Spider-Man comics from the 70s and 80s, which already have a noir edge, like Kraven's Last Hunt, or go watch many of the film noir masterpieces of the 30s and 40s. Oh wait, most of the people hyping up this bullshit can't do that because they're mentally challenged and they prefer to spend hours rotting away on the internet. Exactly like the people who are saying that Insomniac's Wolverine is going to be a masterpiece.
So immediately upon watching that clip, you can definitely deduce that this man clearly has some form of prejudice against certain people of certain colours. As you can see, he also furthermore goes on to call it woke propaganda, as if having black people and Asian people in your movie makes it propaganda. Furthermore, I don't believe it's a valid criticism to make against a series to blame the actors for being a certain race as a way to say that the show is bad. It makes no sense to say that. After all, a show could contain all white actors, which is probably this guy's dream of a show, and still be absolutely buns. So saying you won't be watching something due to race swapping and woke propaganda is not a valid criticism for you to make. Alright, so after that bit, let's have a look at what he says about the actual Wolverine game itself. I mean, it's taken him almost 3 whole minutes to get there, but let's have a look.
And it's not rage bait, it's just the facts. Some people are interested in a character. I'm interested in James Bond, so I've read the original stories where he's pretty offensive, he's a misogynist, he's xenophobic, and he's an all-round womanizer badass. A lot of people just can't handle that. And the same goes for Wolverine. I've read the original Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Dave Cockrum. I've basically read all of the 80s Wolverine comics, starting from Frank Miller and Chris Claremont's hard-boiled classic that defined Wolverine and everything about the character. And that's just 4 issues which are some of the best ever published in the comic book medium, and some of the most defining for the character of Wolverine, where he smokes, he drinks, he gets into bar fights, he chases femme fatales through the neon streets of Tokyo, he fights the ninja army, the Hand, and basically goes to war for his beloved Japanese wife Mariko. That's just one mini-series that's one of the best ever made in comics.
Okay, so first off, he mentions James Bond, the pretty popular fictional character known for shooting guns, chasing ladies, and looking good while doing it. However, he doesn't praise it in the way I just did. As you saw, he believes James Bond being offensive, misogynistic, and xenophobic as being badass. While this tangent is a bit random, it does let us gaze into what tickles RFE's fancy: offensive white male characters. He also spends a little bit of time going over how he loves the original Wolverine runs and how they're good, which I can say, fair enough. If you like an inclination of a character, that's up to you really, and I can't criticise you for that. However, I'd like to add in my own 2 cents about his analysis of the original Wolverine comics. Wolverine as a character has evolved since then, and even then the majority of people haven't even read those comics, meaning making a portrayal of Wolverine like that would be nice for the so-called true fans like yourself, but have you taken into account the fact that general audiences don't see Wolverine in that way anymore? Lots of people, including me, learnt the character of Wolverine through the X-Men films all throughout the 2000s, portrayed by Hugh Jackman. He's still this awesome hero and symbol of masculinity that Ranting Avengers loves to play so much, but even then, he criticises Insomniac Wolverine for not being masculine enough, which is something I need to get to later. My point here is you can't have characters whose only traits are I'm offensive and rude with no underlying depth. That doesn't pull in a wide audience of people. After all, from a marketing point, Insomniac would want people to be able to come to this character freely. You want new fans to be able to enjoy the character just the same as old ones, so you can't go for a version of Wolverine who is old and outdated. He'll offend people, and while yes, most people don't get offended over things like that, it's better not to take a risk as a company. Also, he weirdly calls Logan having a Japanese wife cool, even though he spent most of his career talking about how he hates people of colour, so that's a bit odd. So now I want to quickly segue into a bit of this video where he discusses what he thinks about the mutants in the new game, and well, let's just see what his opinion is, eh?
There's none of this bullshit from the trailer where there's little green Ninja Turtle retarded looking mutants and the same black chick, which is in every single fucking video game that comes out nowadays.
Well, wow. Just wow. What kind of criticism is this, man? He just calls a kid a slur and insults a real-life actress. From what I've found out, her name is Deborah Wilson. From what I can remember, she's played Sarah Jinder in Fallen Order and Survivor, and I think she was Amanda Waller in a game that I won't mention. Alright, let's see what he has to say next about the game, or specifically about Wolverine himself. I mean, after all, the game is pretty cool. Let's see what he thinks about Wolverine.
You shouldn't even call this guy Wolverine, because in reality what he actually is some Down syndrome retarded ripoff of Logan who's getting cocked by Jean Grey.
Damn, man, he's really insulting Wolverine heavy, as if this guy doesn't look like the literal still-life equivalent of a 30-year-old version of Frank Lee from Die of a Wimpy Kid. I mean, seriously, dude, how are you, of all people, talking down someone's looks? You could literally fry bacon off this dude's hair in a UK heatwave, and it would still come out black. So, what do you mean, cucked by Jean Grey? Like, do you know what the word cuck means? Well, I kinda hope you do, considering your boyfriend probably puts you in the cuck chair while he rails your crush in front of you, but, hey, that's just my theory, ranting for vengeance. Let's take a look at more of his criticism and see what he actually say about the gameplay of the game for once, finally, not about the story, but the gameplay. Let's have a look.
I don't need to see the same Arkham combat from Spider-Man and the brand new Bond game and Red Dead Redemption, which is copied into everything. And the same bald black chick who keeps showing up in everything and ruining it for some reason.
Yo, can this dude go like 5 minutes without mentioning that same actress? Like, my god, bro, she's in the clip for like 1 minute and she'll probably be a part of like one level. Dude, let it go. It's also strange he chooses to criticize Arkham gameplay as if it's not the definitive best choice for combat in a superhero game. Arkham City won Game of the Year, and the games he mentioned in the list are all University loved. Besides, let's say he didn't put Arkham combat in. What combat would you put into the game? Like, genuinely, what other combat systems are there that are popular and used by most companies? What combat system would you actually prefer? He's just criticizing to criticize things at this point, honestly. Okay, now let's move on to the next clip, and this clip right here is going to be the meats and potatoes, like I said earlier. This is the real reason why I think he truly is a absolute weirdo. Let's have a look.
And my bigger issue is Jean Grey, which I can just tell immediately. You can say, oh, you don't even know, the game isn't out yet, but I'm just going to make this prediction and I don't really give a fuck. This Jean Grey is going to be a feminist hag bitch, and I can tell it straight away.
Genuinely, what is this guy on about, bro? He says he can tell that she's gonna be a feminist hag, but how? Even he himself says a counterpoint about how the game hasn't even come out yet, and then goes to completely disregard it even though it's a valid argument. How do you know she's going to be that? You haven't played the game yet? In fact, Jean herself has like 2 whole lines, bro. And even then, with those 2 lines, she isn't controlling Wolverine or making him look like a weak, tiny little man. She's literally assisting him in looking cooler by taking out bad guys. So no, Ranting for Vengeance can't tell straight away that Jean's gonna be a feminist. In fact, I doubt RFV even knows what a feminist is. He probably just assumes it means a woman who hates a man, which is a dumb assumption. A lot of alt-right young men go into that damn little pathway when they're so foolish. They need to educate themselves on what feminism truly is, to understand it, to coexist. I think it's really sad too. You can tell RFV thinks he's this awesome guy taking on the woke mob. I'm the hero here. But in reality, it's actually kind of sad to think about. The guy's only about 15 or 16. I think he doesn't look too old, even though he does look quite old actually. But he's filled with so much hate for other people, it's genuinely concerning. This guy claims to be a comic book fan, yet hates everything that comes out. He hates Resident Evil, he hates Spider-Man, he hates Wolverine. He doesn't actually like anything. And the second you criticize him for it, it's, you're a LARPer, you're a tourist, you don't read real comics. Buddy, just because I don't read comics from 4,000 years ago doesn't make me a fake fan of a character. While I do agree you have to interact with the media that a character is from, say for example a gaming character, you should probably play the game they're from, you don't have to be an ultra mega super duper fan who's played every single game on the original to actually be a fan of the character. You can play one game and read one comic and claim to be a fan as long as you know what you're talking about. It's not always about like absorbing all the content, it's about just knowing what you're talking about. Okay, but on a more serious note, look, I think this kid just needs more educating about what's right and wrong in the world. I really hope one day he'll change his ways and become a 10 out of 10 media top character. But unfortunately, by the way he's going, it seems like he'll be locked in this state of mind for a while until he matures. I mean, the guy's 15, he's got time to grow, but I really doubt it considering, well, look at him. But yeah, and on that note, that pretty much wraps up my entire video. If it gets really popular, I'll make a full analysis of Ranting Avengers as a character and debunk all of his ridiculous claims. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, drop a cheeky comment, and subscribe. It will really help me out and motivate me to keep making more videos. It's been your boy Shay. Peace out, and always remember to keep it 1000. Peace.